what about you hit the wee follow button if you so choose? Now, it's that time of the week, isn't it? It's time for... Yep. This week it's slightly different in that I'm not going to be talking about an individual nor a business, but a whole industry, namely the banking industry. This follows the Ulster Bank's decision announced on Tuesday that they're going to close 10 branches here with the loss of 21 jobs, leaving customers in many places without any banking service. The argument used by the bank for the closures is, and I quote, "Most of our customers are shifting to mobile and online banking because it's faster and easier for people to manage their financial lives." Bollocks! Utter bollocks! This is a standard excuse used by banks when they decide to cut costs, save money, and inconvenience customers such as the elderly and small businesses who need cash handling services and now will be forced to travel miles to get to the nearest bank. And this argument used by the banks is a classic non sequitur, as it does not follow that people using online banking should result in the closure of brick and mortar banks. There's no connection. A counter argument could be made, when you hear this, that people are only using online banking having been forced to do so because the banks have closed their high street branches. Has anybody thought of that one? Is that not a possibility? One thing is certain. The motivation for these closures has nothing to do with customer preference and everything to do with maximising bank profits. See, I'm old enough to remember the days when people paid their money into the banks. We gave our money to the banks, and the banks then loaned that money to other people to buy real things like houses and cars and start businesses. And for that, the bankers received salaries, just like everybody else. But the bankers weren't happy with only earning a salary like everybody else. They wanted big bonuses, so they started investment banking, or what it should be called, gambling banks. And through the early 80s, the money rolled in. But the bankers still weren't happy with their bonuses, so they started creating their own financial instruments, such as subprime mortgages, which even they didn't understand. And in 1987, the tits went up and everything collapsed and the banks in the world near got bankrupt. Now, instead of allowing the banks to go bust, like every other business, governments around the world decided the banks are much too important to fail. Yes, my friend Jeffrey's in there. Tarquin, he's in the banks as well. We can't let the banks fail. And what they did instead was they took trillions of our money. They took trillions of our taxes and handed it to the bankers to bail them out. Socialism of a different style. Now, we were promised at the time by all these governments that banks will never be allowed to indulge in such wanton greed again, and the obscene banking bonus schemes were capped. Yeah. Within the last few weeks, the Tories have reneged on that promise, and the banking bonus schemes are now up and running again, no doubt fueling the next round of banking disaster. Not that the bankers will have to worry about the closure of branches, as their ill-gotten gains will no doubt be funneled through offshore tax havens such as the Cayman Islands, Panama, the Bahamas, the British Virgin Islands, or even Dominica. As for you and me, see us plebs, well, I'll see you in that long queue in one of the last remaining high street banks, where we're treated like cattle going through the abattoir, with some child behind the counter trained to remind us every 2 seconds,
"Excuse me, sir, have you considered switching to online banking? 'Cause I'd love to get sacked, I would. I'd love that."
That's all, folks.